everybody. I'm your host, Greg Nicholson, your host, Greg Nicholson of the MBK Lounge Show. I'm so glad you guys tuned in today. So listen, I'm going to jump right in because I am excited about my guest today, right? And I want you to be excited too. We're going to be talking about what I believe purpose, legacy, and those two things are the cornerstone of what this show is about, especially relative to men, because this is a show about purpose and men and being everything that you can be. And today, I think I have someone that's going to help us see why it's so important for us, because everybody, when it comes to purpose and legacy, we all want to leave something behind that's good. And I know that it doesn't always start out that way for some of us. It all depends on where you're from and what you've been exposed to. But what I would like for you to walk away with is that it's a choice in the end. And I think I have somebody here today that can help us see just that. So without further ado, I want to welcome in Marshall Mitchell.
What's going on,
What's up, man? What's going on?
I'm proud of you, man. I'm sitting here watching you with awe and wonderment.
I don't know how, man. I don't know how, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in and, sitting with me in the lounge. Listen, y'all, we've had a lot of dialogue before we started, and we almost didn't start. So when you hear me talk about legacy, purpose, talk a little bit about, wait. First, tell everybody who you are. Tell us a little bit about you.
Child of God. That's my purpose.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
That's my legacy. I'm a 55-year-old pastor in Philly. Mm-hmm. Have worked in politics, have worked in film in Hollywood. I ran a black college for 6 years and found it. When I got there, they had $20,000 in the bank and had way too many students who were not prepared to be there, way too many faculty, so I had to take it through a planned crash. After that, after the hardest work I've ever done in my life, which is running a black college and bringing it out of bankruptcy, I went out to Hollywood and knew absolutely nothing about film, but found myself connected to George Lucas and Red Tails and 12 Years a Slave, The Life of Pi, Cruise, Princess and the Frog. Everybody's seen Princess and the Frog, right?
That's right.
So some really profoundly good films that were impactful. I knew absolutely nothing about film. I've never taken a marketing class. Grandson of a Jew, so I feel like I can do everything. So I go out to Hollywood, convince people I should be running movie campaigns the way I ran political campaigns, and it just took off. And that led me ultimately to return to my purpose and to my legacy to pastor Salem Baptist Church of Abington, which is a 138-year-old church right outside of Philly.
Okay. I hope you're all still following all that. You are one of the most well-rounded people that I know. Like I am older, but the beauty of life is when you realize that being older doesn't mean that you can't admire or respect people that are younger than you. And man, that is a really cool, well-rounded breadth of things. And I think what I want to get at is that you just described started many years ago.
Yeah, before I was born. Right?
Talk about
I have both the blessing and curse of having old parents, specifically an old dad. My dad was 65 years old when I was born. So I was born in 1970. He was born in 1905. And to put that into perspective, he was active in the Harlem Renaissance. His best friend was Langston Hughes, his college classmate, roommate, Thurgood Marshall. And so I was born into that. High expectations, rigorous demand, early 20th century Negro leader stuff. And that was imposed upon us. I'm thankful it was, because it became a North Star. But we were given the opportunity to fail. It wasn't an option, but we were given the opportunity. If you want to be lazy, be lazy. And my dad used to, excuse my language, I'm sure you've got a lot of very pious religious people, but my father would say, if you fail, if you're mediocre, you will be a shoveler. Remember, he grew up in a world before there were cars.
Oh.
And what people did who failed in life is they followed behind the horses on the street and they shoveled up what they left behind. And so for me, legacy ultimately is what you leave behind.
So here's this, but what's funny about that is that somebody who was going to ultimately watch this show, who may have been born into something that is a total mess, drug addiction,
Sure.
Crime and poverty, whatever. They think that when they see someone like yourself who came into a situation where their parents were around, icons, like, oh man, they got it easy. And the reality is it's a totally different situation, but just different kinds of pressure.
Yeah, America has messed people up. America has seduced people into thinking these quick scrolls are reading, so you never really get the substance of the lesson, right? I knew we were in trouble when I started seeing books like the 48 Laws of Power. You can't get life's meaning out of Cliff's Notes. You and I knew that, right?
Right.
So what people started doing is reducing what they would read to headlines and snapshots, and that always gives you what is superficial.
Right.
Yeah, my father graduated from college in 1929.
Wow.
He was admitted to Colgate University. He went to Colgate. When he got there, they realized and said this to him, we did not realize you were a Negro. We have our Negro for the year. He had to get back on his steam train, come back to Philadelphia.
Oh, wait. They did. So they
got to Colgate.
And they said no.
They had people don't understand when in 1923, when someone looks at you at Colgate University and says, we have our Negro for the year, there's not an appellate court.
Right.
You can't go somewhere else.
Right.
They don't care what the NAACP thinks.
Right.
Doesn't matter what alumni is out there or alum is out there.
Right.
It's over.
Right.
You pack your bags, you go home. He goes home. And he has to wait 6 months. He's got an Irish twin. His brother is 11 months his junior, and both of them wind up going to Lincoln University together. And when they get there, that's when Thurgood Marshall is there. Langston Hughes comes 2 years later. Langston Hughes is my dad's best friend, his line brother, my brother's godfather, and an inspiration to our family. And so I think if you capture that moment in time, you might say, oh my God, his father is of the manner born. My grandfather, who's Jewish and black, was born the son of an enslaved woman in 1873. His mother is born in 1855. And so that's what I come from.
Right.
I come from Jews who couldn't find a place in the world, and black folks who unfortunately were ripped away from a place and deposited here in this country. The saying always goes that every king has a pauper on his family tree and every pauper has a king. And it's up to us to do what we need to do in our lifetime to transform it.
So here's the thing that when did you know, like it's as I sit here and talk to you about all of this and you're sharing this with me and everyone else, when did you know what you're talking about now with your family?
I cannot remember a day in my life when my parents, my family, everybody in my world did not look me eyeball to eyeball. I can remember those talks when I was 3. Telling me you are going to be something. You are here because of God's miracle. You are here because we are not white. We are not black. We're something else. And my parents always instilled in us that we were something else. And there's this lost tradition, and it's frowned upon all over. But I guess you and I are at the point in our lives where it's time to expose those things.
Right.
My dad fundamentally thought he was a third way, not white, not black, but a third way.
Right.
You don't pay attention to what white folks are saying. You don't pay attention to what black folks are saying. You pay attention to what God is saying and your own North Star. And he was completely unapologetic about it. Yeah. So he could laugh at and deride black people and white people at exactly the same time, because he truly fundamentally believed he was an individual and he wanted us to be individuals.
And what's interesting is you shared pictures with me of your dad doing things that even today people would say, wow, he's on the cutting edge. I mean, he was traveling the world. I mean, forget the affordability side of it. Just the desire to do the things that he did. Now you're filling it all in, at least for me, because I'm going, that's why he was doing what he did.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just he had money in his pocket and did it, because I'm sure some people who have money don't, right?
Right.
So I thought that was really cool to see, and now I think I'm getting a better.
Yeah, we had a borderless world. When you came home from school, when we were in grade school, you had no idea who was going to be sitting in my dad's study. Nobody idea who was going to be at the dinner table. I can remember this one scholar named Arnold Rampersad. And I believe he was at Columbia University at the time, and he was doing a book on Langston Hughes. And day after day, he was just sitting there with my dad, poring over documents, poring over letters that they had written one another in the 20s and 30s and 40s, up until really his death. And I mean, one of the really monumental things that I found my mom shared with me and my dad's effects was a postcard that Langston Hughes sent him early 1960s, and he was in Africa. He was doing a tour in Africa, and he had seen two of their college classmates. One of their college classmates had become the first independent president of Nigeria. The other had become the first independent president of Kenya, and he just had dinner with Haile Selassie. Wow. And so he said to my dad, he says, Zeke says hello. He's retired. He's cooling out now. He was the president of Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe. And then he went on and said, had dinner with Haile Selassie. Wasn't all that. He's okay. Whatever. So they were extraordinary men.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, think about how many unextraordinary people we have taken pictures of because they're famous. Right? And we waste our time. We don't read, we don't study, we don't kick the tires. Same thing is happening in the church, right? You see these guys who become stars in the church, and then they peter out. Right? Because we apply the same standard of stardom. How many likes do you have? How sexy is your message? Who's going to your church? It is foolishness. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Jesus. It is purely an American dynamic around celebrity, and the church is completely corrupted by it.
Yo, man, you got me at
my bad.
No. This is there's so many things. This is like one of the few times that as I'm listening to you, there's so many paths that we can go down. So let me ask you this, because there's a coin that I'm thinking about. I'm going to start on the one side. It's about you. When did you decide, given the eyeballing that you got when you were 3, because though they kept telling you what you were going to be, you still have to make a decision. And you made a decision to get on the path that you were on, that you shared with us at the very beginning. When did that start?
So,
I'm sure it was bumpy along the way, but you had to make at least that first decision. All right, you know what? It's not about my dad. It's not about what he's done. Marshall Mitchell has to now do his thing.
We did not grow up in a democracy. Right? And I think that's something that we have really failed to instill in the next generations, plural.
So you went right to the other side of the coin, but finish, because you don't have to talk about them separately. Go ahead.
For me, I didn't make a decision. The decision was made for me. Our family believe children don't make decisions. They're educated. They can walk along the decision-making process, but you don't leave it to an 8-year-old to decide whether or not they want to play the violin. Right? There's some things that you simply have to do because those things are formative. You wouldn't buy a racehorse and say, do you want to come out and run? And so all of these options, successful cultures all around the world, and in particular in America, right? So we have the precedent of having the 3 most successful American populations are Jews, Indians, and Nigerians. So the Nigerians for us should explode all of the racial mythology of what Negroes can do or can't do. And so once you explode those things about what people can't do or can do, you allow someone to be an individual. Then they're able to migrate to the things that attract them, that they want to do well. My dad did the same exact thing for church. I went to Sunday school twice, and I can remember riding in the car, and I looked over at my dad and I said, I hate Sunday school. Right? My dad's the biggest pastor in Philly. And he says, okay, you don't have to go to Sunday school anymore, but you've got to do some other stuff. There are other things inside of the church that you can choose from, but you're going to do something. Find what you like. And I was like, great. I don't like Sunday school. I'm a great usher. I'm talkative. I can stand on my post, and I can pass you. Here's your church.
That's right. I know what's going on.
So what I did was I found myself ushering every Sunday. And so that gave me the engagement in church. My brothers were livid. They were like, yo, how come he doesn't have to go to Sunday school?
Right.
My dad said, because he opened his mouth and said he didn't like it. And you guys never did that. And so at the same time, while we weren't allowed to make the decisions, we were always given a voice. And as long as you used your voice respectfully, and I had to include respectfully because most of my dad's siblings were born in the 19th century. They were born in the 1890s. So you don't walk into a room and just offer your opinion. You don't walk into a room in the morning and not look at every person and say, good morning, good morning, good morning. You don't get up from the table without being excused.
Right.
Yeah. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
You may be excused.
Yeah.
Right?
Why are we struggling with that? Because that is a part of legacy too. Like we didn't carry on those characteristics and families and the family structure, manners, respect, those kind of things are unknown, have not been shared. People aren't raised to that standard anymore. You got people wearing hats inside, in church. You know what I mean? Like that. And that one just came out, but there's so much more. Like why are we struggling with that?
Well, society can become libertine, where anything goes, where there are no standards. You study God's word.
Right.
God constantly warns Israel about accepting the ways of the Canaanites.
That's right.
We have accepted the ways of the Canaanites. We know this is wrong.
Yeah.
We think, and we started attacking our own culture. That's why I was going through the whole thing with Jews, Nigerians, and Indians. Across the board, you're going to see standards.
Right.
When a Nigerian boy or girl goes off to college, the expectation is you're going to be a doctor. Okay, if you can't be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer. If you can't be a lawyer, okay, you're going to be an engineer. If you're not going to do those three, what are we doing here?
That's right.
Right? And so I think in many ways, black culture has been corrupted by the liberalism of white people from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s and 80s, where anything goes.
Right.
And so we saw teachers who were in segregated schools in the city of Philadelphia, who were at local neighborhood schools who had fantastically high standards, corrupted by people who came in during integration and destroyed our whole cultural model. And when people destroy your cultural model, what do you have to hold on to?
Right.
So then it is reduced at the same time. This is the problem with the church, celebrity and money, right? And you know full well you can't buy class or decency.
No.
Right?
No.
That's right.
And
we're about the only culture, historically, we're the only culture that has made our basketball players, rappers, and singers and boxers our role models.
Right.
Those are the least educated people on the planet.
Right.
And so if you allow them to set your cultural standard, then Kanye West becomes more important than a pastor.
Right. And it's funny because at my church, I'm a part of the children's ministry.
You're a little old for that.
Come on, man.
What are you in the elementary school group? I'm assuming you're leading it.
I am.
Okay,
I am. That's funny. I'm not sitting in the chair looking forward. I'm actually standing in front of them.
Good.
And occasionally I'll ask them, what do you want to be?
Right.
And guess what the predominant things that I hear are?
Rapper or basketball player.
NFL.
We have allowed people, think about how short an NFL career is.
Oh, man.
2.5 years for an NFL running back. 2.5 years.
The percentage of people that make it to the NFL, NBA, it's
94% of people in the NFL are in bankruptcy 5 years after their career ends. Can you imagine in my father's household saying, I'm going to be a basketball player?
Right.
You're talking about shots get blocked.
Right.
Shots get fired. Right. And so, I'm a past trustee at the University of Pennsylvania, and Penn gets blown out in basketball often.
Yes.
And I was sitting there one time with this group of kids, right? And the other team was gloating, walking off the court. They were like, oh, yeah, the kids from Penn literally said, you're great basketball players, but we own franchises. You'll work for us. And you know what? They were cracking up. And if you look across the NBA and NFL and NHL, Look at the number of Wharton and Penn alumni who own franchises. 76ers, Washington Commanders, New Jersey Devils, just to start.
But you know what's funny about what you just said? You said that the people who own those franchises went to Penn.
Yeah.
Which basically, and you didn't say Indian, white, Jewish, Nigerian. It's where they went, right? So that means that this is all about a mindset.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Race is overrated.
It is.
That's why I threw Nigerians in there, because it explodes the whole racial mythology.
That's right. Because I hope that anyone who watches says, oh, I didn't know he was going to, I didn't expect him to say Nigerian at 3. And the reason why I'm making the point I'm making about what you just said is you talked about the audience was from a place that understood what to own.
Correct.
Because it's more important. You know what I mean? Versus being a player. Yeah. You want to own the franchise. Yeah.
It's mindset. And think about how many years you can own a franchise and pass it down to your family. Right. So you hear people talk about generational wealth, right? That's truly, that's just stratospheric wealth. And people are intentional. And those kinds of schools and those kinds of places mint those kinds of people.
So everyone has heard you talk about, you're a pastor at a church, but there is so much else that you did along the way. So I know that you had to make certain decisions or you'd have got a shot blocked in the house. Yeah. But when did you feel like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm going to do that? So you had to start to understand your purpose, because it's not just a bunch of stuff that you did. Like, did you understand your purpose as you were weaving everything together while you were on your way to becoming a pastor? And then some of this stuff you did or do currently while you're a pastor. So I want people to see not just the decision was made for you, because when you leave home, you can't get hit in the head any longer. I don't think. So now you are truly on your own and you could be like, all right.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm still afraid of my dad. And my dad wasn't the kind of person who hit you.
Right.
My dad was the kind of person who looked at you and shamed you if you did not try, if you did not succeed. My dad used to remind his maternal grandmother had been enslaved, and she resisted her slave master's son who wanted to have sex with her. And she fought him off, and he went over to a pile of bricks, and he grabbed a brick, and he crushed her head, and she survived.
Wow.
But she used to always make my dad and his brother run their index finger through a crevice on her skull to remind them of what it takes to make it. And I would watch my dad cry in 1980, telling the story that he remembered from 1915 when he would be a 10-year-old going back down to Richmond, Virginia, running his finger through my great-grandmother's skull. So we don't have the luxury of forgetting. So I don't have the luxury of, okay, dad's dead. His whole generation is dead. Let me go do my thing. I'm doing me. Like, that is the most selfish thing I've ever heard people say. I'm doing me.
Yeah.
Can you imagine when other people have fed you, poured into you, sacrificed for you, and now you get to the place where you should be doing that for others, and you declare like it's a moment of freedom? I'm going to do me. And churches are inculcating this kind of foolishness.
And you know what's funny? Remember earlier when I said I want to talk about, there's a coin, I want to talk about two sides? That's the other side. It's like this whole thing about legacy, it's one thing for you to find it for yourself, but we have an obligation to make sure that we do what you're talking about. Like we are sitting on the sideline, just allowing, like you said earlier, kids to make decisions. Like the fact that you could tell me the stories that you're telling me, I'm sitting there going, Greg, I'll be completely honest. I've got stories on the inside of me about my family that I haven't even told my kids. And I'm hosting the show. And I'm sitting here going, I need to make sure that they know where we came from and what, not just my father, but my grandfather. And you know what I mean? It's like, I need to be doing something.
But Greg, we don't sit down without our phones, without the television, without the 76ers on the background and sit and communicate. And people for millennia have sat around campfires and told stories and passed down messages. We don't do that any longer. And so I always warn people about the seduction. I mean, we're on a digital platform right here. But you have to remember, it's a tool and not a destination.
That's right.
And for too many people, it is their life.
That's right.
A good angle is their life.
That's right.
And that's where we have truly failed. I mean, the Bible doesn't exist. I tell the Christians, the Bible doesn't exist the first 300 years of the church. Stop talking about the Bible. The Bible.
That's right.
Shut
That's
up.
right. That's
the
right.
Spirit of God.
That's right.
The Spirit of God went from heart to heart and breast to breast.
Right.
And so we have we've even come to serve the Bible rather than serving God.
Ooh, that talks. So talk a little bit about that. When you say that we have come to serve the Bible instead of serving God, because there is the assumption that they are. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I know, but that's.
No.
Yeah. Shake them up.
God is not beholden to the ability of people to put together 60 some odd books inside of the cover. The fastest period of the church growth is the first 300 years of it. It goes from being a late ancient Jewish tradition and faith. Jesus keep asking, what did the prophets say? Right? And then it becomes this Romanized, Greek, Hellenized religion. And so it's dangerous when you miss this God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who should still be speaking to us. And we become the God of what we want to do in church and how we generate a crowd and how we, right? I think we're headed into really dangerous water because we've trivialized God. We've made him, I'm a friend of God. He calls me friend. I mean, dude, can you imagine? Before we started this, we were talking about hymns. How great thou art.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Amazing grace.
Yes.
Those are not shelf life songs.
No.
We're giving our kids a shelf life faith that will not serve them when the winds blow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I hate much of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I get, because of how I dress, I get called like a contemporary pastor. Yeah. I'm no longer young. You and I are young-ish.
Yes.
Right.
That's why when you were like earlier, hey, but you're too old for that. You know what I mean? But no, you're right. We are, and I am good with it. But what's interesting is that when you talk about the Bible and God, and I automatically thought about, just go with me, the American flag. And this might sound radical, but you're absolutely right. God is not the Bible. So if someone takes a Bible and burns it, God is still here. His word is still, you know what I mean? And it's the same way with the flag. And everybody doesn't agree with this. Yeah. But America, no matter how you feel about it, is not the flag. You know what I mean? And
it's a symbol.
It's just a symbol.
It's a representation.
So, but we get caught up.
The Bible,
The
Bible is also a representation of God's law.
And some people need to hear that.
Right? Well, they will hear it. Look, I challenge people because our family was very global and we're an admixture of a whole bunch of other things.
Right.
The Coptic Bible, the Ethiopian Bible, has books in it that we don't have.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
The Catholic Bible has books in it that we do not have. Yeah. There are late ancient Jewish texts which do not find their way into our Old Testament. Yeah. Paul gives us the out. He says, we know in part.
You're right.
Right? And so I always say, give your pastor the freedom to actually say this. I don't know. Yeah. We know in part. Yeah. And so what happens is so many pastors get in trouble because if you don't know, then people are, I'm not going to listen to him. I'm going to listen to, Reverend E.R. Mudfoot. Yeah. Right? Because Mudfoot got it down. He's feeding me. Even our description of our faith is about consumerism in the marketplace. Yeah. Can you imagine your great aunt or great grandmother saying, I don't go to this church anymore because I'm not being fed? And Jesus tells us, feed my sheep.
Yeah.
So we've turned and twisted the whole thing around our own consumerism.
Yeah.
And we want to go places where we're being fed when he commands us to feed other people. We're botching this Christianity thing completely. Yeah, we bought into the marketplace.
No, it's where you just said it. You said some things about the influence. You talked about the Canaanites and this influence. Yeah. It's so pervasive. It's influenced us to not do things in our households, to look at what we believe in a certain kind of way. I mean, it's so much of who we are. What are some things that you would say to anyone who is watching, some of the guys out there and people who have men in their lives that they care about? What are some things that you would say in general around legacy, around purpose, just to help them to think about why it's important, what they can do in this current state that we're in? You know what I mean? Like, what are some closing thoughts that you would have for them so that they could walk away and go, with all the material that you've shared today, these are the couple, 3 things that I know I could walk away with?
Get back to the land where you came from. Go back to Virginia. Go back to North Carolina. Walk on the land, whether your family was a sharecropper, whether your family owned a lot of land. Get back to that land, walk on it, smell it, feel it. Thomas Jefferson warned that America could become a very dangerous place if it just became a place of ideas and minds rather than people working with their hands. So get back to the land. The land, that's the Bible story, right? Right. It's always about land. Yeah. We see the conflict in the Middle East right now. It's about conflict is always about land. Yeah. Get back to it. God is not going to make any more real estate. That's why real estate continues to rise in its value and its worth. So always get back to the land. Get back to your family. Share the stories. Talk to one another. Find out why your family left Mississippi, North Carolina, Virginia. There's always a story. People moved to Philadelphia. When they settled in, most black people who arrived in Philadelphia started out in South Philadelphia if they came during the early stages of the Great Migration. Like my family came to Philadelphia on a boat from Portsmouth, Virginia. Fascinating story in this. I got to share this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So my grandfather, who was able to pass, right? He had a black mother, Jewish father, so he passed. My grandmother was not able to pass, and my father and his siblings were not able to pass. They get on the boat. First of all, they have a car. So when they come north, he's got a Model T. Loaded it on the boat. And when they get on the boat, they direct my grandfather toward the white section or cabin, guide my grandmother and their children toward the black. And my grandfather said, absolutely not. We are a family. We will stay together. And they tried to, it was illegal for him to be in the black cabin, illegal for the blacks to be in the white cabin. But they had a car. And he said, you know what? We'll ride in the car on a boat. And so my family came to Philadelphia on a boat inside of a car. Sometimes you got to create your own third way. Yeah. Don't be afraid of doing it in a unique way that breaks the rules and conventions of other people. And that's a story that has been passed down to my family since 1912, when we came north and wound up going to Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Wow. We started out on the main line. We're the original fancy Negroes.
So, all right, you know what's funny? I want to make sure, because everything you just said, even though I know I'm trying to get, some final words from you. There's one thing that I want to make sure.
I like how you do final words like a Black Baptist preacher. You do it 3 times.
And I grew up Pentecostal. But here's the thing, though. I want to make sure that we debunk anybody that tries to say that, well, the reason he was successful, and it's kind of right. It's kind of right? Because we understand that when you have a firm foundation, you have something to stand on as you step out. But I want to make sure that anyone who was born into something less than that doesn't say, well, he had a leg up.
I'm 2 generations from slavery. 2.
Wow.
My father is the first man in my family on my father's maternal side who was not enslaved. My father is the first person whose mother was not a slave.
Wow.
So when
I
people,
can't say that.
so that's what I say. So people wonder why I am so militant about Black success, because if it doesn't happen, I'm 2 generations away from that reality. So when people look at light skin and good speech and straight teeth and reduce it to what they want to reduce it to, I'm ready to fight. Because that's not the story. And when you allow it to be the story, my dad used to do this thing. I am fortunate. I am a 3rd generation college graduate. My grandparents graduated from Virginia Union in the 1890s. My dad graduated from, and grandmother, my father and my mother graduated from Lincoln and Cheney. My dad in 1929, my mom in 1961, 62. And I tell people, until you double click and understand people's real story, don't offer opinions because you just don't know. And a lot of people project their own insecurity on each other in the Black community. So they come up with your story and then look for you to dress you in the story that they've already cooked up. That's crap. Wow. I don't let people do that. Excuse my cursing. I know you're Pentecostal. I'm a Baptist minister. But Christ fought and whipped people inside of the temple when we got stuff wrong. Yeah. And we've got to fight and whip people inside of the temple, not to break them down, because Christ was not trying to break people down. He was trying to break down strongholds. And so when we reduce it to somebody not having a hard time, if I am of the manor born, it is a freshly painted manor. But I can tell you right now, I will outwork everybody. I still scrub the toilets at my church on Sunday morning. I get to church at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning to scrub the toilets because I believe I will do it better than anyone else. And we have police athletic league at our church on Saturday night, and some of the kids miss the toilet. Some of them poop and don't flush. But I refuse to have Black children whose great-great-grandmothers might have been slaves, and my great-grandmother who was a slave. There's no way I will let Black children come into something that is not as fine as what the Jewish kids, the Indian kids, and the Nigerian kids have. So if we set our own standard, we don't have to worry about projecting anybody else's insecurity. So I say to that, join me at 6 a.m., scrub the toilets, see if I'm of the manor born then. They won't, because they're interested in talking. They want to read the 48 laws of power. They don't want to go back to the original source material. Go to it, read, study to show thyself approved. A workman need not be embarrassed by his work.
Listen, Marshall, I don't know if I could close any better than that, man. And I will tell you guys, listen, well, first, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing everything that we talked about today.
I'm proud of you.
And here's what I would tell you, as you talked about cleaning those toilets. I have never, ever, ever forgotten last minute where there was a passing in my family. I called you and you opened the doors of your church without even hesitating. So you're not only a man who will step in and clean the toilets, you will do whatever you can to help your friends and community and those in need. Not just me, because we're the same school, same frat, we believe in the same thing. Right. You are a door opener for many people, and I'm glad that I was able to experience it myself. So, man, appreciate that. And that right there is legacy. That's legacy. So listen, everybody, especially the fellas, you have no excuse. You have no reason not to do what you need to do around purpose and legacy. And after watching today's show, there really isn't a whole lot I need to say other than pay attention to what you just watched. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.